Renovating Retirement with Charlie Jewett. Oh no, I think I'm about to have another episode.
Hey everybody, Charlie Jewett here with the Renovating Retirement Podcast. Really special episode. Zach, you don't even know this, but when I started the podcast in 2016, I guess May 2016, if you go back and listen to the early ones, I'm saying I'm going to do 150 episodes, one a day, 150 days in a row, and then I'll figure out if I want to keep doing it or not. And I didn't make it. I made it like 80, 90 days, whatever it was, every single day. Crazy. Even if I had to record at 3 a.m., I did one every day. Then I fell in love, and it threw a wrench in the whole thing. Doesn't it do that? I wanted to go on days. Anyway, you're episode 150, brother.
Oh, that's awesome, Charlie. I appreciate you having me on for 150. That's a huge mark. So I'm glad that I end up turning it into one of your goals.
Exactly, and it's been so good, I'm not going to stop. But everybody, this is Zach Beach. Now, you might remember Chris Prefontaine. So I did an episode with Chris Prefontaine, who's the smart real estate coach. Zach, you married into this crazy family, right?
Yes, I did. I guess I would say I'm the crazy one, and I kind of married into a very relaxed family, but they're just as crazy as me. So yes, I married into the family, and I've known Chris's daughter actually since I met her in sixth grade Latin class, and we've been dating probably ever since.
Oh my goodness, that's funny. So the reason I wanted to have you on the show is one, real estate investing is not just an important piece of some people's retirement. It's also an important kind of passion project or tax planning tool. So I have a new podcast that's just been released called Winning the Money Game with Dominique Molina. Dominique Molina is a tax planner with about 800 CPAs that carry her designation she created, the certified tax coach. And one of the things we talk about is when you earn money as a real estate investor, you're in a totally different world of tax deductions than if you have like a W-2 job, right? If you're making $200,000-$300,000 a year working for someone else and you get paid through payroll, really there's not a whole lot of deductions you can take besides buying a house or giving to charity. But when you're self-employed, and real estate investing falls in that category of being self-employed, whether you have a corporation or not, it's a really important tax planning tool. It's also an important passion project. People really shouldn't just retire, Zach, and sit around watching soap operas and let their body and brains die. They should kind of keep using their brains and doing stuff that interests them. You know what I mean? And I also talked a lot about this, and this is why I want to interview you as someone who started not knowing how to do real estate investing and now could run your own company or survive on your own. A lot of people in the United States are behind on retirement. They haven't saved enough money for the age they're at, or kind of how close they are to needing to live off the money, if that makes sense, right? And our strategies is, although I think we're the best retirement planning firm in the country, certainly trying to be, financial planning is not really set up to say, oh, well, you're 15 years behind, you didn't do the savings, let's like triple your income and catch you up. It's more, where do we put the money to make sure you don't lose it if you're behind? Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes absolutely perfect sense, and I can definitely attest to that. As I come from a family, not the family I married into, but a family that I didn't come from much money. So I can tell you, like, retirement and planning wasn't even, in our language. That's something that I definitely wasn't taught. So me actually just being 28, I mean, I got plenty of time now, and I've learned a lot of tools that will make a very successful retirement. But I totally feel for the people out there that are like, hey, I'm definitely not where I want to be, as we have many students that are in their 70s, 80s, 50s, 60s, that are now trying to play catch up, like you just said. And we definitely have the tool that can get you to catch up as long as you want to invest the time and effort into it. Yeah.
And I'm going to ask a couple of questions on purpose up front to give people the results of if they learned from you guys, right? The smart real estate coach. And then I want to go back a little bit about your story. So just so people know like why it's worth it to listen, if you were to guess, how many rookies, like people that didn't know anything about real estate investing, how many rookies do you guys think you've trained that are now doing deals?
Yeah, so so we have two different tiers here. So we have what we call associates, so people that we actually pair with and do deals with in the trenches.
Yep.
A much higher level. And then we have our students who have bought in our program and attend our events. And I would say, just to guess, about 50% of the people I would say are absolutely brand new, green as green could be. Just from the associates that we worked with, probably have never didn't do a deal in their life until they come and met us. I would say 50% just to be conservative.
And how many people do you think that is over the years? You guys have trained 20, 100, or how many people, like, does this program work? Are you taking rookies and getting them out there doing deals?
Oh yeah. So the reason why we've created a lot of our programs, and just to name a number on it, I mean, actively right now, our associates who we pair within the trenches is roughly about 60 plus people we work with daily, if not weekly, helping them build and scale their business from, just doing a transaction all the way up to scaling it. We have some that have well over $1 million in payouts now. Mm-hmm. And then I know that we have hundreds of students around the country that have gone through our programs. Now, I can't tell you exactly where they are because I don't have a personal relationship with them. Yeah. The whole reason why we created our Quantum Leap Systems video course and our associate programs is because we noticed that there's an absolute huge gap in especially in the real estate consulting market of people just selling products and people actually doing deals. And that's why we created this full immersion program, really, and that's the associate levels, because we actually want to see people doing deals out there to create the life of their dreams, or to catch up on retirement, or to get way ahead of it.
Yeah. And what most people listening to this probably don't know, unless they're an insurance agent, and what you probably don't know, when I got into this industry, I'm like, how am I going to learn? How am I going to not screw? Like, I'll never be worse at this than when I first start, right? I'll never be a worse financial planner than my first week in the business. And what do they tell you in any business? Like, go for your family and friends. So it's like, oh, when I'm worse than I'll ever be, let's go for the people I really care about, right? That's a problem, and I didn't want that. And I've learned over the years, coming from an educational family, that the value of education is saving time, saving mistakes, like speeding up the learning curve. So in this industry, we're allowed to share commissions. So all I did from day one was find an expert. First, it was Douglas Andrews, then it was his sons, then it was some other people. Find an expert and say, listen, if I find the client, will you do the financial planning and let me watch? And they said, yes. I said, how much is it going to cost me? Well, the first guy said 66% of your commissions. So I find the client, watch this guy do financial planning, making sure that no mistakes were made, and they got expert financial planning, and I got 34%. Well, then it moved to 50-50. He got 50, I got 50. And then it moved to 30 for me, or 30 for him, 70 for me. And then I knew I cut probably 5 or 10 years off my learning curve. When I went through your boot camp, which I'm going to attend again this year, I was watching what you're doing and going, you guys are doing exactly the same thing. You're basically saying you could go try to screw this up and spend 5-10 years figuring it out, or let's just split cases while we teach you and you learn it in a year or two, and then you're off and running and you can make as much money as you want, as hard as you want to work. Am I off base there? Or is that kind of the same? Is that a good analogy?
Yeah, that's a fantastic analogy, and that's actually the first time I've ever heard that being done in insurance. So that just tells you how much I know about that business model there. But yeah, that's exactly it. Why reinvent the wheel? Why, do a bunch of mistakes that we could easily show you how to avoid, and then get a piece of the deal, which you'd probably get a piece of the deal way before you'd actually be able to get your own deal on your own. So right. Yeah, it's a fantastic analogy there.
And I've always wanted to start a college for entrepreneurs where over the 4 years, you actually start a business and you leave 4 years later running a successful business. If you really look at what you guys are doing, it costs way less than a college, totally. And people are actually making money the entire time and walking away with a business in less than 4 years if they kind of just follow the plan. I just think it's incredible. So here's what I want people to get people drooling, and then we'll jump into a little bit of the history and what's available. What's the average profit per deal? Like if somebody finds, and one of the things, by the way, I want to throw this right out there because I have not been interested in real estate investing for a decade for a reason that you probably understand, which is everything I studied felt slimy. It was like, find someone who's suffering. They're going through a divorce or there was a murder in their house. They call it a motivated seller, right? Like they really don't want the house anymore. And usually it's for some dark, horrible reason, right? Foreclosure. And you're like, and then go buy it way less than it's worth. And I'm like, I don't want to rip hurting people off for a living, right?
Yeah.
And by the end of your boot camp, which is coming up again in September, right?
That is correct.
By the end of the boot, and I'm going to be one of the speakers. I'm going to come sponsor and speak for 40 minutes. And there's incredible speakers, by the way. I couldn't believe the people you guys had there. I was like, what? It's like 30 amazing speakers in this little time. But by the end of the boot camp, I'm like, holy crap. everybody gets good news. Like, you're offering good news to the person you buy the property from. We'll pay full price. You're offering good news to the person that you're selling it to. We'll give you a home when you can't get one. There's good news for you guys because you're making a profit. I'm like, how the heck did you guys figure this out where it's win-win-win or win-win-win-win-win-win if you want to talk about the mortgage guy and the title company and everybody who's involved, right? And all of that, when everybody's winning, as the investor, as the person learning your systems, what's the average profit per one deal that people do offering everybody good news right now?
Yeah, so it obviously depends on the market that you're in, and how many deals you've done. As you said, you can't be any worse than the first deal that you've done.
Yep.
But on average, if you kind of just take all the associates deals from across the country and including ours, which we buy and sell real estate in Southern New England, it's about roughly $72,000 to $75,000 all 3 paydays. Now, I want to say all 3 paydays because it doesn't all come up front. What you'll do is you'll collect a non-refundable deposit from a buyer, which is your payday number 1. You'll collect the spread every month as well. So the difference between the expenses that you have and what you can collect for rent. And then on the back end, you'll also get additional profit, usually from the premium that you set from the front end and principal pay down. So it does come over time, but you are collecting cash now, cash monthly, and then cash in the future as well.
So for somebody listening, I really want them to grasp this because I want to let me put this into perspective, okay? For years in the retirement planning industry, Zach, there was this thing called the 4% rule. A guy named William Bengen came up with it, and he tested all of the 30-year periods he could find in the stock market and said, like, well, if you have $1 million when you retire, how much are you supposed to take out for income every year? That's a good question, right? Do you take out $250, and you last only 4 years? And he came up with this thing called the 4% rule. So if you have $1 million, you can take out like $40,000 a year, and you're supposed to die before you run out of money, right? Well, with annuities, by the way, that number's down to 2.8% because of the stock market ups and downs since he did the testing. Wow. But we can get that up to 5% easily with annuities. So I just want to put this in perspective: $72,000. I mean, doing one deal a year is pretty realistic, right? If somebody's working with you and you guys are focusing on 1 to 4 a month, right?
Yeah, we typically will do about, I'd say 1 to 2 a month now, as we've actually toned down our business. That way we can help the real estate entrepreneurs around the country or our associates do more deals. But I'd say we're doing on average, say between 7 and 10 deals nationally across the country with those 60 students right now. Yeah. So
1 a year. I just want my listeners to hear this. If you have 1 deal a year and you make $72,000 on the 3 paydays, which you learn more about in the training or in the boot camp, or whatever, I'm just taking that $72,000, Zach, $72,000 a year, 1 deal a year, and saying, how much money would I have to have in investments kicking off 5% to give me the same thing? So I divided by 5%. That's basically $1.5 million, $1.44 million. So the people listening to this, the reason I wanted to have you on the show, and the reason I had your father-in-law on the show, and the reason it's so important that there's this other tool besides what I do. If you're behind on retirement, and you can learn a skill that you control where you're offering good news to people and live as if you saved up another $1.5 million. Most of the people I've met in 14 years haven't even saved the $1.5 million in the first place, Zach, much less another one of those, right? And then you go, what if I do it twice a year? It's like having another $3 million. What if I do it once a quarter? It's like I saved up another $6 million. Guys, no one ever needs a nest egg. Income is fine. If you had a pension giving you $20,000 a month, whether you ever worked again for the rest of your life, you can live pretty nicely. No one's going to be complaining with a $20,000 monthly check that they don't have money saved up in the bank. You just live off the income. Income is king. We save up chunks of money because when you stop working, you need to turn the chunk into an income by buying annuities or whatever. Well, this is another one of the ways that you can catch up from not having saved enough, or stay active and have fun, or create an incredibly amazing lifestyle for it. Now, you guys, we'll give this away on this podcast too, but when I interviewed your father-in-law, we gave away some sort of a plan that was like how to make $1 million in 3 years, or $1 million a year in 3 years. What was that millionaire in 3 year thing?
Yeah, so a 3-year $1 million plan. So we just show you, if you do, X amount of deals every single year, you'll start to accumulate your payday number 1, so your non-refundable deposits. You'll start to accumulate the spreads every month, so then you get money, cash flow coming in. And then eventually, so as these deals start to cash out in the future, as you start to get through year 2, year 3, you're going to start having properties actually be cashed out. So you're going to have these sellers or these tenant buyers that we work with actually going to get financing and cashing you out, where you have nice large chunks on the back end. Because just to give you an average as far as what the paydays look like, pay number one on average is roughly say like $22 plus $1,000. So that's your non-refundable deposit you're collecting. Our payday number two. So our spread is on average about $300 to $350 per month. So these are each house. And then our back end payments or payday number threes typically fall in about the $35,000 range. So if you're going to start getting $35,000 chunks, say when these properties start cashing out in year 2, year 3, and then as you continue to accumulate these properties, you can start to see one day you can actually take your foot off the treadmill here, and you're actually going to get on schedule to having a property be cashed out. So these $35,000 plus chunks on the back end monthly.
Yeah. Yep. And a lot of people listening, I do have a lot of people in their 30s and 40s, but a lot of people listening are in their 50s and 60s, and they're a lot more like your father-in-law. They're a lot like Chris. You guys are living proof that this isn't just a skill you can learn to help you in retirement. It's a skill you can learn and teach to your family and pass on how to fish to future generations. Not just pass on fish through your estate plan, dump a bunch of money on your kids and turn them into trust fund babies. Instead, you could show them how you created the wealth or how to do it themselves, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we had 3 generations working at this point in time. So we had Chris, then myself, and then my nephew was actually working with us for a while as well. So we had 3 generations there. So we're teaching our family how to acquire these skills. That's great that you got the cash flow coming in, but you're actually acquiring these skills that you can have for the rest of your life. So now, like you said at the beginning of the show, now I have these skills where each and every one of the family members could go off and create their own real estate company. We just stay together because it's fun being with the family.
Right.
Really cool story. This guy, we have a new associate coming in down in North Carolina, and the guy's owned 3 businesses before. Now he's 82 years old. And the reason why he was joining us and starting this real estate company is because he has a grandchild now who's 21 years old, and he wants to do the business with him and eventually leave the business with him, the real estate business. So you get these really cool family-driven businesses that kind of come through the Smart Real Estate Coach funnel.
That is awesome. Well, let's take the last 5-10 minutes here. I want to do 2 different things. I want to hear a little bit about your story to give people hope, because I'm sure people listening are like, I don't know how to be a real estate investor, or it sounds super complicated. I think the best teachers in the world take complicated things and make them simple, and you guys have done that. I can say that having gone through the course that's available, right? The online course, then also your live boot camp. Let's do a little bit of your story and then tell people what you guys offer and how to get some help, and we'll do a couple free giveaways, okay?
Yeah,
now,
absolutely.
What did you do before this? Before you met Chris, before you started learning real estate, what were you doing professionally?
Sure. So just to give some texture, I've known Chris since I was like 12 years old. I just never worked with him. I was a bartender and personal trainer when I left college. So really when I was like 21 to 25
I love that combination.
Yeah. So
here's where to get the calories and then where to burn them off, right?
Oh, absolutely. So I always tell a story. So I'd be training people like at 5 o'clock in the morning, and then I'd be serving drinks to them, at night. So absolutely nothing got done with some of these clients. They just were handling this. They were just drinking away the calories then. So yeah, that's what I did when I got out of college, and I did that until I was about 25 years old, and that's when I kind of went to Chris and said, I'm burnt out. I don't know if I'm going to like real estate. I know zero about real estate, but we live in the same town now. Why don't we see if this will work? We'll give it a the old college try. And then 3 years later, here we are, done well over 100 plus deals and counting, and now partner and pivotal role that I play with the family in coaching people around the country to build and scale their real estate businesses.
That's awesome. Now, I'm going to tell the audience about things that you guys have available that I've been through all of these. We're not talking about like pulling the trigger and paying you guys $300,000 without knowing what's going on, and none of your programs are anywhere near that expensive. People can dip their toe in the water and get the e-course, right, which is like 70 modules or something like that. And then there's also, I'll talk about how to get the free webinar, right? And then your boot camp was priced like freakishly reasonably, if I remember Chris brought me last year, so I didn't pay because I was one of the speakers. But what's the price? What's the retail price for the boot camps you guys do once a year?
Well, the best thing is if and when you buy the QLS 2.0, so that's our home study course, which is $997, you actually get a free ticket to our QLS live event, which is normally $497. So if you just
I didn't know that. I didn't realize that.
Buy into the program, you also will get a couple strategy calls as well with myself or Chris. So you actually get to meet us, talk to us, and then go through the modules, which there's 10 plus modules. 60 plus videos. It is a living, breathing entity as we upgrade it or update it quarterly because it is online. That way, because we are still in the trenches constantly. So as we make adjustments in our businesses, we update the modules. That way, everybody else is benefiting as well. So yeah, we're the guinea pigs. our LLCs are the guinea pigs, and then we get to teach it to everyone else. So that way, we get to make tens of thousands of dollars worth of mistakes, and then you guys get the benefit from it.
So let me highlight this because I didn't realize it was that good. Just because of the way that I've come in as a sponsor and partner with Chris, right? Mm-hmm. I didn't come in as a retail guy knowing all this kind of stuff, but someone buys the course. Like a lot of my listeners are do-it-yourselfers. They tend to be people that some of them have advisors and they leave those advisors and come to us for better financial plans. But some of them have been kind of doing it themselves. But you can't do everything in the financial services industry. There's some stuff you need someone with a license like us to help you with, right? But there's a lot of proactive do-it-yourselfers. So you have a couple options. They could buy the course and learn everything they need, plus have some strategy calls, plus come to the boot camp for $997, not even $1,000. And really, if they're wired that way to work alone and they're good, they can just figure the whole thing out and be doing these deals for an average of $72,000 per deal on their own, right?
Oh, absolutely. We have many students around the country that just come to our events once a year. We actually have two events now. We have our Biz Scaling Secrets event in April, and then we have our QLS Live in September. And they just attend the events. We continue to coach them up through the events, and they use our QLS program in order to go out and do their own deals. There's just one guy top of mind. This guy Mike, who's a cop down in New Jersey. And he's done 27 plus deals. He only attends our events and uses our program, and he's done it all on his own. So wow. Yeah, you can absolutely get it done on your own.
So that's for the one type of person. And then the other type of person, they're sitting there at the QLS event that they get if they buy the software, learning. And then you guys show at the end. If you don't want to do it on your own, we'll partner with you. Kind of like when I started my business, and we'll just do all the deals together. We get paid some of it, you get paid some of it. And then when you're done learning from us, then you go do it on your own, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's our associate program. So we literally lock arms with you in the trenches, either ourselves or a certified coach will literally be calling on sellers with you, talking to buyers, dealing with negotiations, with paperwork, anything you need associated with getting a deal done. And then we all have the same goal, which is to get these properties profitable and cashed out because we all benefit on the back end as well.
Well, Chris knows this. I'll tell you, I think you guys are awesome. I have a history of looking at real estate training. There was a lot of, actually there was like a 2.5 year period where all of the people that came to me came from a certain traveling real estate coach where, they have a famous coach and all these famous people like that stand up and everybody's selling something, right? One of those speakers talked about one of the strategies that we do. And so I handled all of them. And in 2.5 years of talking to many, many people every week, I never met anyone who made any money investing in real estate from the stuff they bought. And some of them paid for packages over 30, 40 grand, right? And that's because of what you said, I believe. It's just books and formats and template contracts, not hand-holding and let's go do deals together, right? I think that's a pretty important. If I'm going to learn how to make cabinets, I want to go work with a cabinet maker, right? If I want to learn how to, be a pastor of a church, I want to work with a pastor. Same thing if I want to learn how to do real estate deals, I want to learn not from books, but from doing real estate deals with somebody that's done hundreds or thousands of them. So let's do 2 giveaways, okay? And then we'll wrap the podcast up. But let's do 2 giveaways. We definitely want to give away the 3-year $1 million plan. So anybody that wants the 3-year $1 million plan, just go ahead and email me, info@L5Wealth. That's INFO at L as in Larry, or L the letter, 5 the number, wealth.com. The other thing I want to give away is you guys have given me access to a free webinar where people don't have to buy your course for $997 right away. They don't have to show up at QLS for $495 or whatever it is right away. They basically can watch the webinar and get a ton of information with no skin in the game and then after that, decide what they want to do, right?
Yep.
So I've got that link. I can send it to you guys by email. Just so you're going to send me one of two emails or both. Send me an email at info@l5wealth.com and say, I want the $3 million plan, or say, I want to watch the webinar, or say, I want both of them. Very easy. info@l5wealth.com. Let me know if you want the $3 million plan or the webinar or both. And then, Zach, anything you want to say just by way of encouragement. I mean, you know way more than me about Chris and about the family and about the training you guys offer and about how many people that sign up actually end up making money. Is there anything else you want to tell people, from the heart about what you guys do and your passion and how much it can help my listeners?
Yeah, I appreciate you giving me some last words here. So all I can say is it's really going to come down to you're the 100% the X factor, right? I mean, we've trained hundreds of people, and we help out at least 60 plus families just right now. And I'll tell you, every single person the student is the X factor. So I just suggest that just take, your first baby step into real estate investing. Watch the webinar, get the $1 million plan, and just start digesting it here. Because if you are behind on your retirement, and like Charlie said, and you don't have the ability to amass over $1 million doing what you're doing in order to get that $72,000 return per deal, then I would suggest you start diving into our material and start finding out how you can now start amassing that type of retirement. As it's super important. You're not supposed to, not supposed to live to work, right? You're supposed to work to live,
right.
In that aspect. So I want you to be able to travel the world and do whatever is best for you. And then also, if you're kind of coming from my type of position where you're not necessarily thinking about retirement yet. I'm 28 years old. I'm not thinking really about retirement. I would just say real estate can be a fantastic model to just start building your income. That way you won't have to worry about retirement in the future. Because even though I'm not thinking about it now, I hope I won't ever have to worry about it and be in that position to worry. So I'll just leave you guys with this. Just go ahead, take action, take Charlie's advice, and email him and just kind of dip your toe in there and see where it comes about.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show, Zach. I really appreciate it. Everybody, if you want to take a look at some of these materials, just get in touch with me. info@l5wealth.com. That's L as in the letter, 5 as in the number, wealth.com. And then Zach will have you back on again in the future. And hopefully maybe we'll be able to even put you on with somebody who heard the show, came over, got help from you guys, and is doing deals. Sound good?
That would be wonderful, Charlie. Thank you for having me on.
Awesome. All right, you guys, I do this because I think you people are the best. Bye-bye.
Renovating Retirement with Charlie Jewett.
That's all, folks.